What's going on, everyone? My name is Aaron and this is Dad.0. Today we're going to be doing a long-term review of the Apple Watch Series 6. I've had this watch since it came out a little over 6 months ago, along with the Apple Watch SE, and I just want to tell you what I'm still liking about the Series 6, how it's held up and the durability of it, and if I think it's worth the upgrade over the Series 4, the Series 5, and the Apple Watch SE. Also, because this watch has been out for 6 months, it means we're probably only 6 months away from a new Apple Watch coming out. So I also want to let you know if I think it's worth buying the Series 6 now or waiting for the next watch to come out. And what I like to do is just start off with the things I'm still loving about the Series 6 6 months later. And the first has to be the design. Now you're probably wondering, well, the design hasn't really changed since the Series 5, but there has been some minor tweaks that I really love, so I just want to point those out. When it comes to the display, not a ton has changed. It's still the same OLED display that has 1000 nits of brightness. It gets super bright, the colors really pop. You can see it in any amount of light, even direct sunlight. I have the 44mm version of the Series 6, and the resolution is still 368 by 448. On the 40mm, it is 324 by 394. The thing I like, and especially for those that like the always-on display, is that the Apple Watch Series 6 has a 2.5 times brighter always-on display than the Series 5, which is a pretty significant increase. With the Series 5, I did feel like the always-on display was a bit dim. Even just sitting at my desk and glancing at my wrist, it was sometimes hard to see. So the increased brightness of the Series 6 is very welcomed. As far as the rest of the design, again, not a ton has changed here. The Series 6 is slightly thinner at 10.4 millimeters, down from 10.74 millimeters on the Series 5. You still have your buttons in the same place, still have the digital crown. But one change I do like is the new added colors for the Series 6. For the aluminum version, you can now get it in a blue or red color, and I got the blue color, and this color looks awesome. It looks super clean. I just love the way it looks on my wrist. It's a deeper, darker blue, so it's not super flashy, but still looks great. The red looks terrific as well. I saw that in stores, although it was just a bit flashy for me. And then in the stainless steel version, you can get it in a new gold finish that replaces the old gold finish, and a new graphite finish, which replaces the old space gray or space black version. And the graphite one looks amazing as well. If I didn't like the blue so much, I would definitely go with the graphite. On the bottom, you still have your heart rate sensor. Your ECG sensor is still there from the Series 5. The addition is the blood oxygen sensor with the extra LED lights on the bottom of the Series 6 for measuring how rich with oxygen your blood is. Now, especially in times like these, many people think that the SpO2 sensor is there specifically to diagnose respiratory illness, and it is in part, but I use it more to track my physical fitness and my training. I'll take at least 1 or 2 readings after a workout to see how fast my blood regains its oxygen, which is a great indicator of your cardiovascular health. It's also great to use at night when you're sleeping to diagnose things like sleep apnea. As someone with a mild case of sleep apnea, it's very important for me to keep track of my oxygen levels as I sleep to know if my condition is getting worse, staying the same, or getting better. And I find the readings to be very accurate, specifically when I take it myself manually. When it's doing it by itself in the background, it sometimes takes it when you're moving around or you don't have a tight fit, so sometimes the readings will be way off. But when I do it myself and I hold my arm still and I have a tight fit, I get very accurate readings compared to my medical grade finger SpO2 sensor. And for me personally, I use the SpO2 sensor a lot more than I use the ECG sensor, and I think that's true for most people. The ECG sensor is going to be very important to some people, specifically for people with AFib or think they might have AFib or an irregular heartbeat. But I think for most people, you're going to get a normal ECG reading and kind of go back to your normal lives and not think about it for a while. Whereas the SpO2, I use almost on a daily basis. When it comes to performance, the S6 really does fly through just about anything you're going to put this through. Moving around the UI of watchOS is a breeze. Everything is super fluid, super fast. Opening up apps are really fast, especially when you compare it to the Series 3 or even the Series 4. Apps just seem to open up a lot quicker. In terms of a huge improvement over the Series 5 or the SE, I wouldn't say it's a huge improvement, maybe a very slight improvement. because those are still very fast in my opinion. And when it comes to battery life, this is going to greatly depend on how you use the Series 6. If you have the always on display on, if you're tracking a lot of GPS workouts and those type of things. What I have found out is that if I have the always on display on the entire day, I'm normally left with about 15 to 20% less battery life than if I have the always on display off. And I would consider myself a moderate user, meaning that I track normally a 30 to 45 minute workout per day. I get all notifications sent to my wrist. I sometimes interact with the watch every couple of hours. And by the end of the night, if I have the always on display on, I'm normally at 20 to 30% left of battery. The nice thing, and another thing that I really love about the Series 6, is that the battery has fast charging, so you can quickly put this on the charger while you shower or get ready for work, and you can juice it up to 75, 80, 90% battery life in just a few minutes. When it comes to durability, I am pretty careful with my Apple Watch Series 6, and I haven't noticed any major scratches on the screen or any nicks or scratches on the casing as well. Most of the Apple Watches that I've owned have been very durable. The Series 6 aluminum models have the Ion X glass displays, which is the same as the Apple Watch SE, while the stainless steel and titanium models have the sapphire crystal displays, which should add a little bit more scratch and crack resistance. And everything else has held up great. The sensors all work perfectly still 6 months later. The heart rate is very accurate in my opinion. The ECG is a very nice feature to have. SpO2 sensing again is great for detecting respiratory illness and keeping track of your cardiovascular health. All have worked perfectly so far. So when comparing this to the Series 3, the Series 4, the Series 5, and the Apple Watch SE, I have some mixed feelings as to which one I would tell you this is a definite upgrade over, and which ones I would say maybe you don't need to upgrade to the Series 6. For the Series 3 and the Series 4, you're going to see some noticeable improvements in performance. You get those extra health features, including the ECG sensor and the SpO2 sensor, and that noticeably bigger screen over the Series 3 design. So if you have one of those two watches, I think the Series 6 would be a good upgrade for you. For Series 5 owners, unless SpO2 sensing on your wrist is a huge thing for you, I really don't see a huge need to upgrade to the Series 6. I think the Series 5 performance is still very good, and you won't see a huge bump in performance with the Series 6. And when it comes to design, there really isn't a major improvement here, besides the 2 times brighter always on display and the different color options available. And when it comes to deciding between the Apple Watch SE that came out at the same time as the Apple Watch Series 6, you really just have to decide whether some of the health features and the always on display is a really big deal to you. Because those are kind of the major differences between the two, is the ECG sensor on the Series 6, the SpO2 sensor on the Series 6, and the always on display. For me personally, I don't use the ECG sensor all that much, so that wasn't a huge selling point for me, and I personally don't need an always on display. That's just not something I personally want in a watch. I'd rather just have better battery life. So for me, it really came down to if I wanted to pay extra to get that SpO2 sensor on my wrist, but I already had that medical grade finger SpO2 sensor. So when I factored all that in, it just didn't make sense to pay that extra money to get the Series 6 for me personally. So I went with the SE, and I'm still loving the SE. Again, that's me personally. For others, this Series 6 is the way to go, and I don't blame you. I think it's a fantastic watch, especially for those that are going to use that ECG sensor, SpO2 sensor, and that always on display. Now, for those wondering if they should upgrade to the Series 6 now or wait for the next watch to come out, this is going to depend on what watch you have now and what type of features you're looking for. I think personally, if you have an Apple Watch Series 4 or earlier, I think the Apple Watch Series 6 is a nice upgrade over those watches. I think if you have a Series 5, you could definitely wait until next year. If you don't have an Apple Watch yet, the Series 6 or the new Apple Watch SE are both great options in my opinion. Apple is still selling the Series 3 for a very cheap price. And while I still think that's a great watch, the one thing that might cripple it is that there's only 8 gigs of storage on there, which might become a problem when you start to download these software updates. You might have to do some rearranging, deleting music, deleting apps off your watch, and that sort of thing. So I personally would probably go with the Apple Watch SE if you're looking for a cheaper version, or go all in and get the Series 6. So that's my take on the Apple Watch Series 6 after a little over 6 months of usage. It's a fantastic watch, guys. I'm still loving it. You just have to decide if you're going to use all those features or if something cheaper with less features is more your speed. I appreciate all of you guys that watched to the end of this video. If you like this video, press that like button and consider subscribing for more content I'm coming out with soon. Thanks again, everyone. And as always, I'll catch you on the next video.